Welcome to the Smark Foundation podcast. I'm Aaron. This is Adam.
Hello, everybody, and happy all-inclusive holidays.
Yes, happy all-inclusive holidays. To let everybody know, this will be our final episode of season one. We're going to take a 2-week break to spend those wonderful holidays with our families, and then we'll be back with you guys on January 6th to
Yeah,
to start season two and kick off our 2025 broadcasts. It's been a heck of a season already. I really appreciate everybody who's listened to us from all the crazy places in the world that you've been listening to us from. Especially thank you for sticking it out with us this long. We're 12 episodes in, and we've experienced a lot of really good growth lately. So I'm really super happy about that. And Adam,
yeah. I mean, it's this has been such a journey already. Like, I mean, I know it's 12 weeks. It's 3 months or whatever. But like, I don't know. I feel like this has been really, really rewarding already. Just getting a chance to talk, kind of go, not even as in depth as I would like to because of time constraints, and I am a long-winded mofo. But uh, yeah, like just being able to talk this, like I have friends, that are into wrestling, but everybody leads such disparate lives anymore. I got kids. I'm Heath Slater with only two of them, but uh, but it's so difficult to talk about all the things I want to talk about. Like hardly any of my coworkers are really into wrestling or whatever. The ones that are in, like, they're all across the way in the other departments on the other side of the store that I work at and stuff like that. So it's difficult for me. It was getting difficult for me to sustain my fandom because I couldn't talk to anybody about it except like online, and Twitter back then, and still is even worse now, is a
oh,
cesspool. Before Blue Sky, trying to start a civil discourse about wrestling ultimately attracted so many trolls and became so tribal and just
mhm.
attracted so many BFAs. I couldn't. I just That's what I used Twitter for mostly. About 90% of my tweets were wrestling related. And like it was so bad. So having this podcast to actually talk about the stuff that I like, which is a lot more than apparently a lot of wrestling fans on Twitter anyway seem to enjoy. This has been therapeutic in a way,
Mhm.
you know. So I'm glad that y'all can sit in for an actual therapist and save me a bunch of money.
Yeah, I'm glad people are sitting with us too. Like I said earlier, we've had that uptick in viewership lately, and I am just like super happy that people are listening at all. But really, I mean, yeah, I mean this is a project for us, for all of you listening. You have to understand, like this is really more for me and Adam
Yeah, it's a
than
passion
it is.
project for
Yeah, it's a
sure.
passion project. We're not doing it for listeners. It's mostly because I like to sit down for 3 hours a week and have a conversation about wrestling with somebody else who likes wrestling as much as I do, and not have to worry about spending an hour talking about how terrible everything is.
When
Because
it's
things aren't
clearly not.
terrible. Yeah, it's clearly not. That's oh God,
Clearly
that's the thing that's
not.
bothering me. Like things are clear, and I'm going to say this now. I've seen lately that, especially lately, that things are so good that people are looking for things to be mad about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Like even when we mandate when we do this show and we review each WWE and AEW show, we mandate ourselves mostly to keep ourselves honest and to keep everything 100 and not to, you know, delude ourselves. We try and fit in at least one thing that could use some work on the shows. And you know what? Lately, that's been kind of difficult in some cases, which is a great problem to have. Like,
yeah,
I don't know why anybody would be complaining about that problem.
you know, honestly, I think. that even the stuff that I've seen people complaining about recently, like we could get rid of all of this if some wrestling fans will use the same mantra that I use in these situations, which is let it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like okay, WWE fans, we're griping about things. Like I am a WWE fan. I know what you're griping about. You're griping about Vince era shit right now. Let it go. Let the just you know what we can do? The best thing we can do in this situation is let the lawsuits play out and never mention the man's name.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the converse side, AEW fans, my wonderful, lovely sicko brethren, let CM Punk out of the apartment that he is renting for free in your head, pretty please.
Yeah.
Just forget
I
about the
mean,
man. Forget
you
about
and
him.
I, you and I have different opinions about the guy. How often has he come up? How often has his name been burst through my lips on this podcast in all the 11 prior episodes to this?
Not often.
I can count on one hand. And was it to complain about anything that he did? No.
No.
It was to provide honest commentary. It was to provide context. It I don't like the way things shook down, but like you said, it's as an AEW viewer, he's not there anymore. There's no trouble that involves him anymore. So just like you said, let it go.
Yeah. There's
There's no
great shit
reason to
happening.
just there's no reason. There's no reason to have him or anybody else who's causing any other things that you don't like, unless it's like a huge structural problem, like our, for example, our shared view on the Saudi shows. You know, those
Yeah.
are big, big reasons. You know, it's not petty stuff that's on a personal level. Those are
Mhm.
big socio-political reasons. I feel like those are valuable
Yeah.
to hold on to your integrity over. But like this petty crap, ugh. Uh,
Like
we want to keep it positive, and there's no space for positivity when you are so hung up on somebody who hasn't been there in a year.
mhm. Well, like I don't know who said it or how they said it exactly, and there is a whole Christmas themed thing about this. But I'll just paraphrase the best I can. Do not let the present be ruined by the ghost of the past. And
Mm.
all he is for AEW, like he's in WWE, he's active, he's doing his thing over there. It's cool, and if you're a WWE fan, you're probably enjoying it. AEW is doing some really great shit, and too much of it is being ignored or not given the time it deserved because people are still too concentrated on the ghost of CM Punk that is ever present over AEW the way they see it. That's not the way I see it. The way I see it, he's in WWE. It's just like any other wrestler leaving. Like sometimes wrestlers leave on bad terms. Not any other time than this have I ever seen somebody or seen the exact circumstances of their exit be so thoroughly detailed to the public.
Well, I mean, we live in unprecedented times. To be
That's
fair, I
true,
mean, I mean,
but
the internet was barely a thing when there was an actual big enough competition in between wrestling companies that we could even begin to compare to
yeah,
this
yeah.
time frame.
But
So I mean,
I think that they're gonna have to do just like AEW and WWE fans. Please heed my words. Just do the same thing. You all just need to do the same thing as wrestling fans, and that is take that omnipresent ghost that is sitting above the company of your choice and realize that it is no longer part of the company of your choice. And please enjoy the wrestling that is there in front of you. I have never been so happy to give like 15 hours a week to billionaires. Okay. I've never been so happy in my life. Like, I am
true
a
fact.
asshole. Self-admittedly, I'm a bit of an asshole and I'm kind of cynical and I'm very like about shit. But we're well-fed wrestling fans right now, y'all. Like, we have no reason to fucking bitch. None
Mm,
at all. If you want to be mad about a botch in the ring, go watch Boss Mania and laugh it off like they're doing, and the people who were in the botch are probably doing backstage after it happened.
yeah,
Just laugh it off. If you're worried about what X person might have said about your company, fucking don't worry about it, man. And by the way, for those of you who I have seen today who are talking about the CM Punk and Hangman situation still as if it's still a situation, Hangman's words this week about his moveset were about Logan Paul, not CM
yeah,
Punk, guys. And
yeah,
I'm with him on that because fuck Logan Paul. All
yeah,
right, now.
yeah, yeah.
So
I think it only came up because somebody on top of that said, "Yeah, look at the." I think it was somebody on Blue Sky was, yeah, the last guy who tried to steal that buckshot Larry couldn't even do it properly. Obviously referencing Punk, and that's an honest criticism
that is an
of that
honest
one
criticism.
moment.
He fucked that move up.
But that being said, all it did was rile up these people's emotions again. Guys, guys, please just stop. The
Yeah,
tribal crap is just so exhausting. I
just
am
leave it
going to be
alone.
turning 40 in 2 months. I do not have the time. I do not have the patience. I do not have the energy for this. Please make it easy on us. Make it easy on yourselves. You will be a lot happier.
Yes. We are happier wrestling fans for it. I promise.
For
We
certain.
are. I've even gotten Adam to pick up his fucking fingers and watch some WWE content this year versus probably zero last year. So if
With the exception of
Adam
the Royal Rumble. I
oh,
always kind
okay.
of make an exception of
I
the
always
Rumble.
watch the Rumble whether I'm watching WWE or
I
not, so
wasn't
I feel you.
impressed with it
Oh,
this year, to be honest. But
well,
yeah,
we can
yeah,
talk about
the Rumbles,
that.
the Rumble's my favorite. Like,
Heck yeah.
I'm gonna probably try and watch the Rumble at some point. Maybe not on the night of, but I'm probably gonna watch
I definitely will be watching
it.
Rumble night of.
Yeah.
Shit, that's probably gonna be on a Sunday, isn't it? Fuck.
Oh yeah, most likely.
Oh boy, we might have a late recording that night.
Maybe.
Maybe a watch along, guys, and that'll be that way for that week's episode. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out because we still haven't had a Sunday pay-per-view issue yet. Um,
No, not yet.
Everything's been on Saturday, including this week's Saturday Night Main Event, which was a banger. Um,
We'll get
and we'll
to
talk
that in
about it.
not too
Yes, we
long from
will.
now.
So, Adam, why don't you run the socials down?
All right, you can find us on Blue Sky at smarkfndmpodcast.bsky.social. Aaron is at aaronsmark.bsky.social. I am Aaron Smark FNDNpod.bsky.social. You can find our home for our podcast at rss.com/podcast/Smark Foundation. You can also stream us wherever you prefer to stream our any of your podcasts, with the exception of Apple, which we are still working on. You can find us on YouTube at Smark Foundation Podcast, and you can buy our merch at smarkfoundationpodcast.printful.me.
All right. Yeah, make sure y'all check out all those links. We are perpetually online, and we would love to see you walking around in our merch, as always.
Yes, I'm
So,
getting better at that, guys. Getting better.
and with that, we'll go right into our lockup for the week, which will be WWE Raw. Um, Man, oh man. Okay, so we were already talking about in the intro. We remain well-fed wrestling fans. I'll just get that part out of the way now. Um, Also, right off the bat, okay, you know how like every week I say awesome job Dom for having nuclear heat, right?
Yeah,
Dom has been usurped
by the New Day.
by the New Day,
Yeah, I
who
figured that
went
was
out
coming.
for a segment to the ring and did not get a word out. Not a word. They stood there for 5 minutes to a cacophony of huge boos, and then they left. That was literally their entire segment. We're going to go ahead and get that out of the way. Guess what, guys? Y'all hurt my feelings last week, and this is what you deserve. And
It
apparently,
reminds
I am not the only one.
it reminds me of that one one of my favorite Eddie Guerrero promos was the one where he turned on Rey Mysterio prior week and comes out to the ring and he's just got this sullen look on his face and he's got Ray's mask in his hand, right? And he's just like you just described with the New Day. He's just there's this din of just boos and jeers and spitting and how could yous, and he just kind of looks around, very depressed looking, and he just drops the mask and he stomps on it and he just kind of grinds it into the mat and then he leaves without saying a word. Like sometimes you don't need words. And I guess the New Day said all they needed to say, didn't they?
I guess they did. Fuck, man. Like I now know that I'm not the only one. Over this past week, looking at social media, everybody's feelings were hurt by this segment, and it showed. WWE, what you are doing right now. I don't know. I still don't know where this is going to go, and I really hope it's leading to like an already cleared Big E, and they're just really keeping it under the hat. And we know that Triple H and TKO are good at keeping shit under their hat until it's time to, really get it down. I mean, they could sneak Big E into an arena. We would never know. They've done it before. They did it this year a couple of times. So, I mean, I like being surprised, and I really hope that's where this is going, and it wouldn't be that big of a surprise because that's what I'm hoping for. But they're cooking, man. They're whatever the heat that they want is the heat that they're getting. Holy shit, it's working. Like, and it's working on me too. Yeah, they're making a mark out of me. I'm pissed at the New Day right now. Like, I get it. So,
You know who I'm happy for? I'm
hmm,
happy for Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston for having probably the easiest night of their entire careers. They go
hmm,
out there, they stand in the ring for 5 minutes, they leave, dust them, wash their hands, and be done with it. Good on them. Good on them. That's an honest
yeah,
day's work right there.
right. So, now, we've got, oh, sorry, I'm gonna get mine. Okay, there. Okay. So they kind of recap Punk and Rollins from last week. It looks like we're getting Punk and Rollins at the Netflix debut.
Okay.
Which they are apparently booking the Netflix debut like a pay-per-view. We will get more into that. I'm sure this week, especially, we'll hear more about that. Because that's kind of the next thing is Netflix. So, even before the Rumble. But so it looks like some things like Rollins and Punk are going to get resolved right at the fucking start of the year. So,
I wouldn't go so far as to predict a resolution.
well, we'll
I
see.
predict step one.
We'll see. So then Gunther comes out and he's starting his promo and he's interrupted almost immediately by Finn Balor. And Finn's standing on the ground and Gunther's in the ring and he's like, I used to look up to you, but now I'm literally and figuratively looking down on you. He's like, I am the best in the world right now, and you were the best in the world 8 years ago for one night. And so Finn is, talking shit back, and Gunther's like, "You didn't earn this title shot that you're getting at Saturday night's main event on skill. You earned it on audacity." He was like, "The audacity you would have to even ask for this title shot or try to get my attention. Well, you want it, now you have it." And so, they're talking shit back and forth, and here's the Judgment Day, and they attack Gunther, and then Damian Priest comes in for what looks like the save, and hits he knocks Finn out of the ring, and then Gunther attacks Damian Priest, and then they are all three fighting, and we know where this is leading because directly after we have a segment where they've turned the Saturday night main event match between the two of them into now a Saturday night's main event match against the three of them with the three of them. I I don't like things changing this quickly, but we'll see how it turns out, and we will. So
I do like the occasional air of unpredictability, though.
I do like
You know,
that. I do like
I,
that. I
I don't
just
think you can get away with it that often, but every
yeah.
once in a while, I feel like you need that to be like, oh, okay, car really is subject to change.
Yeah. But for me, it's like we're 5 days out, guys. Come on, like I mean, I know we're changing. I know unpredictability, and that's why I don't hate it. But I'm also
Yeah.
like, we're 5 days out. Like this match was announced like a couple weeks ago. Like we knew what we were getting, and now
Yeah.
it's changing again. You know, and the thing I'm like, why it's changing because it's probably not going to change the result. Just adding Damian Priest to it. No offense to Damian Priest, but it's
No, it
just not
just
going to
makes it
change.
so Damien doesn't have to take a pin again.
Fair.
Keep him
Um,
looking strong because I mean, it doesn't matter if the heel looks strong, the
yeah.
heel
So
challenger.
that ends with Balor giving Priest like three coup de grace,
Ugh.
and then they make this match. So, but it was really weird because like he's talking about like Adam Pearce has been talking about them defending their tag team championships for weeks, kind of like throwing little hints out there that they're going to be doing that soon, and we have gotten nothing about it. I think tomorrow it's them and War Raiders. I think. Um, I think that might have been like the only thing that has been said about it over like 2 weeks. Um, so I'll have to check out some other things and see if I noted that
I mean, they
anywhere.
should just switch that on principle. I
Right.
mean, if they're lampshading the fact that they're not doing anything with these guys as champs, you might as well just switch the belts.
Yeah. Um, then we had an 8-man tag match with the Wyatt Six and the Final Testament and the Miz. Um, it was a good match. It was kind of short for having 8 people in it. A lot went on, but ultimately it came down to Paul Ellering returned and
Hey,
doused Uncle Howdy in like powder, and that allowed Karrion Cross to get the pin on him. Now, I have seen people online say that, oh, of course, that's how they're going to end the Wyatt Six, and I'm like, no, that's just the start. Paul Ellering got mandible clawed. He came back and cost them a match. This feud will continue. Okay, we will see more of this, especially probably more of the Nikki Cross and Scarlett angle because Nikki Cross continues to stalk Scarlett basically.
mm,
Which I think is kind of an interesting angle of this whole thing because I really am not too into the two groups fighting each other, but I am kind of into Nikki Cross stalking Scarlett because Nikki Cross is good at being creepy and Scarlett's good at acting terrified,
can
and
you
it's been working.
can you name two more different characters
No,
than Scarlet and Nikki Cross? Even normal Nikki Cross is so much different than Scarlet. Not let alone creepy Abigail the Witch version. Like,
yeah, but I liked this mainly because Paul Ellering came back. Because really, when he got the mandible claw, I thought that was going to be a way for them to write them off write him off TV, and maybe that would be the last time we saw Paul Ellering. He is kind of getting up there in age, and
mm,
being that he is the last surviving member of the Road Warriors, um, I mean, he obviously already has a nice bouquet of flowers. But let's continue employing this
now
man and
hang on, I
have
think
him on TV.
Heinrich's still alive.
Who? And that's all I'm going to say. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about the other one either. The other guy who I actually liked him as a person that they tried to
Yeah.
wedge into the. I don't talk about him in LOD either because
Well,
no.
he passed
Yeah, he passed
recently
and
too.
God rest your
Yeah.
soul, Draws. Okay,
Yeah, you
uh,
were by all counts a very good person.
a very good person and a fantastic worker. But when I talk about LOD, I mean Animal and Hawk and Paul Ellering, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, and that is not your fault. That is WWE's fault. Okay. Like me not liking that version of LOD is not Draws's fault. I loved
No,
Draws.
no.
Even then, I was like, that's a cool character. And he does kind of fit in. I mean, he's even like body painted kind of in that
Yeah.
same fashion.
Yeah.
I was like, this might work. It just didn't. And it was WWE shitty booking, not your performance, bud. Okay. I
Yeah.
know. So I'm not talking shit on Draws. I'm just there's a line
Yeah.
I have with the LOD and it's there it is. Okay.
Yeah, I just like
Uh
needling it.
so anyway, that's our last yeah, and we're not and F Heidenreich. Okay. Anyway, so Paul Ellering is the last surviving member of LOD. Let's get back to where I was. Let's keep him employed. Let's keep him on TV. I was glad to see him back. I always get a nostalgia pop out of guys like that. So we'll see where this goes. Um, then we have a sit down interview with Jackie Redmond and CM Punk, and this was kind of crazy because Punk is like, "Look, Seth Rollins doesn't like me because he was the top guy here, and then I came back, and now he's sitting on the bench where the second string belongs because the quarterback is here. He's like, you don't play like a Kirk Cousins versus like I forget what I don't know who he used, but it was like a really famous like second or third string quarterback versus a really famous first string quarterback. He's like, you don't do that.
Probably like Pat Mahomes or somebody.
Yeah, so he was basically just, he called Seth Rollins second string. Eesh. Now
Uh,
I feel like Punk is playing into the angle of being the asshole that everybody on the internet is saying he is. Not
yeah,
who he is. He is playing a version of himself that you think he is.
yeah. He's
And
always been very good at that.
kind of the same way the Bucks did when they became the petty EVPs.
Yeah.
Punk is doing almost that exact same thing,
Isn't that ironic?
isn't it? But hey, you know what? If these two
maybe
companies
this
are
is
going,
maybe this is the bridge. This is the bridge. Everybody can make up.
yeah, everybody can be like
That'd be great.
The Bucks and Punk are running the same thing as far as attitude wise, and I'll say this: if this is how the two separate groups turn this whole situation into money, y'all should have done it together, but at least somebody's getting paid off it. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's all. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure he's just playing this version of himself that everybody on the internet is assuming he is, despite many people saying otherwise. Okay, so we go from there to Dakota Kai versus Liv Morgan. Um, First thing I want to say here is this kind of surprised me. Liv Morgan wrestling, as the women's champion, doesn't tend to wrestle a whole bunch on Raw. Um, Even though she is the Raw Women's Champion, they just don't ever have the women's champion wrestling a lot. Like it didn't seem to happen a lot. Now on SmackDown, Nia wrestles all the damn time. But it was weird that like I just felt like the women's champion, all whether it was Rhea or Liv or whoever, just wasn't wrestling a lot on Raw. And in these last few weeks, Liv's wrestled a lot, like tag matches and singles. This was a title match, um, because WWE doesn't do the eliminator thing, which I like, but we know how those turn out most of the time. But anyway, because it was Dakota
They
Kai,
don't do them on purpose, but they do way more often do non-title matches where the challengers win.
yeah,
And then subsequently, by virtue of that, have put themselves in line for a shot. It's not officially like they do the thing that AEW says they're going to do with these non-title matches, with these eliminator matches. They actually do them under the conceit of it not being official.
right. So Kai was kind of on a roll. Looks like she was going to win, and then Pure Fusion Collective interfered and ruined the match, and that was kind of it. She gave, they set it up to where Liv got Oblivion and got the pin. Um, I don't know why they keep crossing over that. Like every time Damage Control does anything, Pure Fusion Collective seems to interfere, but we get no real story behind it or resolution. I know they have history, but this has to end at some point. It just has to end. Okay. I know that eventually Dakota Kai has to fight one of them for putting her out of commission, but she didn't come back with that. She came back and just started wrestling other people. And now Perfusion Collective is ruining what would otherwise be decent matches. And it's the booking. They're booking these matches to be ruined. I don't understand that part. This is the one thing I really didn't like about this show. And when this type of situation happens, it continues to be something I don't like. But this is like the one thing, I mean, I had to find something. Here it is. I really just don't like this, but not because I just really don't like it. I'm not like choosing not to like it because I had to have something. I just don't like this.
Yeah. No, we
Um,
never point out something simply because we have to dislike something. Like we
yeah,
we 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 try to be honest and we try to be constructive, but we're not the kind of people who are going to be looking to pick apart something with a vendetta or with an agenda or anything like that. It's like, well, it's just we don't want to be as much as we don't like the toxic negativity, we don't want to fall into the trap of being blindly positive and thinking that there is no room for improvement anywhere. Like that's not constructive. That's just being a partisan, just in a positive way.
Right. So after that, when Pure Fusion Collective, they're still attacking Dakota Kai. The rest of Damage Control comes out, kind of clears them out. Then Rhea Ripley shows up and clears out Liv and Raquel. And then we get a standoff between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley over the women's championship belt, which is what everybody obviously wants. Like the reaction to that was, this is the match we would like to see. And I agree. Kind of got me hyped. I hadn't even thought about it, but I was like, Rhea versus Io, fucking banger. Because they both
Yep.
kill. So yeah, we'll see
Got to get
how
it off
this
Live
turns out.
first.
Yeah. Then
Honestly,
we
I
had
mean,
a
the way that you describe too, like you bring up that the women's champion doesn't really wrestle on Raw, and I've noticed that. Like this is, I think, the first time that she's had a singles match this entire time that we've done a podcast. Like on Raw, like on the pay per
yeah,
views it's different or PLEs,
yeah,
but it's like I I left WWE viewership when Liv was like I never really cared for Liv. Honestly, I do not know whether she's improved to to the point where I would enjoy her more now because I don't watch. I do know that like having a long reign where you don't do anything with it doesn't serve anybody's interests. It really doesn't. Like the exception was Rhea because Rhea was involved with other stuff with her faction.
yeah.
That's really it. Like, and Liv is now involved with that same faction with Dirty Dom and everything, and it's just like, okay, well, like at
We did
least
this.
when Rhea was busy with her faction, at least she was mixing it up with the guys every now and then. She was, what you're just holding on to a belt for no reason. What I mean, just drop it to Rhea and be done with it for God's sake. Like
Yeah.
I'm getting bored listening to this storyline every week, and I'm not even being forced to watch it. I'm just like, ugh, just get it
Yeah.
off her already. That may
Well,
be informed
we'll
by prior
see.
bias, though.
We'll see how this goes. After that, they had a vignette with Drew McIntyre. He basically cops to attacking Jay last week backstage and putting him out of commission, and said that he's attacking Sami Zayn and Jey Uso because they sold out for absolutely nothing. He was like, I can respect CM Punk in this situation because at least he took a bribe. He's like, the rest of you sold out to Roman Reigns for nothing. So basically, that's his focus now is taking these people on because they sold out to Roman Reigns. Which I guess I wasn't watching when Roman and Drew went out. I think that was the Clash at the Castle thing early this year or maybe last year. Um, but I really wasn't watching, and so I really don't understand the heat between the two, him and Roman Reigns.
Um, Last year, Clash at the Castle, or 2 years ago, it was
Oh
in the
wait,
middle of
isn't that
that
where
long
isn't
reign.
this where Solo showed up for the first time
Solo showed up for the first time.
and he fucked
Everybody
Drew out of the
thought
title?
Drew was going over, and then they ended that show in a really weird way with Tyson Fury coming out and them all having to sing along a Sweet Caroline or whatever it
Oh
was.
yeah, okay, yeah, I remember clips of that shit show and
I,
ugh,
if
yeah.
I were Drew, once again, this is one of those situations where, yeah, I get it, dude. They did you dirty. I don't blame you for holding a grudge about that at all.
Mm. So after that, then we had Seth Rollins promo, and he's talking about Punk and how I used to look up to him, but now he went somewhere else and failed, and now he came back and because the money was right. Is basically what he said. Which I mean, fair enough.
I mean, fair
But
enough, but he did the same thing.
Sami Zayn interrupts him, and he says, "If you're out here to defend CM Punk some more, we're gonna fight." And Sammy's like, "No, no, I'm not here about that." He's like, "I'm sorry. We both lost our head last week. We fought about it. It happens. When you've known somebody as long as we've known each other, you fight." He's like, "But I'm here to let you know that if you follow this thing with CM Punk, you're just going to end up just like Drew McIntyre." And I was like, "Oh, that's very poignant," because I mean, Drew McIntyre has become decidedly a much more psychopathic character since he had his started his interactions with CM Punk. He has become like a
Obsession will do that.
full bore obsessive psychopath, and he looks like he's turned that obsession towards Roman Reigns and anybody associated with him, because now we have it. I think it comes out during this point that, or maybe it was last week, that Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre are going to fight at the pay per view, or at Saturday night's main event. But yeah, he's basically just telling, Seth, like, don't follow this like this because you're gonna end up like Drew. Then after that, we had Lyra versus Zelina versus Ivy Nile for part of the Intercontinental Championship tournament, triple threat, for the tournament. Um, oh yeah, this one I couldn't really call because Ivy's with American Made, so she's kind of being pushed right now, and there's stories going on with her. Zelina's part of the LWO. She's being pushed always. She's incredibly over with the crowd always, especially ever since Puerto Rico. She's just been super over. Lyra
I
is
mean,
kind of
it's
the
it's hard not to root for the Chancla.
yeah. Now you remember the girl whose name I couldn't remember the other week that won that battle royal or whatever, and I couldn't remember her
Yeah,
name. It was Lyra
yeah.
Valkyria.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so Lyra's like super popular apparently. I didn't know much about her really, but she's super popular. So this one I couldn't really call when it first started. But it was, of course, not very long to figure out who, because WWE these triple threat matches are sub 5 minutes. Why? Someone answer this question for me. I don't like it. But Valkyria takes the win in this one. Surprising to me because the other two ladies are more tenured and have a bigger push going on and stuff like that. But Valkyria's upcoming and super popular, so she advances in the Intercontinental title tournament. After that, we had the New Day promo. We already talked about that. We don't need to go over that again. Literally, boo is all I can say
Yeah.
about this whole thing. Um, New Day sucks chance. We want Big E chance. Like, if the crowd was not booing, they were chanting for Big E, basically. Um, and loudly. So then after that, we had an Anything Goes match with Rhea versus Raquel. And it looked for a second after some interference like Ripley was going to lose. Liv got in. She got the Oblivion on Ripley and then got out. But they drug a table in, and Ripley turned it around and rip-tided Rodriguez through the table and finished it off. Was a really good like women's hardcore match. AW 100% has them on this. Okay, I'm sorry. This
Yeah.
was not as good as like Britt and Thunder Rosa or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was good. It wasn't bad. It's just y'all don't do this, WWE. So just accentuate the positives, hide
Well,
the
I mean, I
negatives.
think that
Like
it comes down to AEW is just willing to let their performers do more in the ring when it comes to dangerous stuff, for better or for worse. Like a WWE hardcore match is a much different animal than an AEW hardcore style
that's
match.
true. That's true.
Like it's just because of WWE. It comes down to safety, A, and B, not wanting to tick off advertisers.
Mm,
So, I get why, but it'll
yeah.
always, I think you're always going to wind up being more sanitized,
Right.
you know?
So this was the main event. So that's where I'm going to kind of end things. But good on WWE for putting up on another women's main event. I really like that women are being featured more in main events. I like that a lot.
This was a
Like
good week for women
it was. I think there was one.
on
I think there was
wrestling.
almost a women's main event almost every show this week. So
Almost
almost.
every show.
So, um, the only reason this match wasn't as good as it could have been is because it was sub 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Well,
You
you got
got to
a
let these
match with
things breathe,
furniture.
man.
Yeah, if you got a match with furniture, you need 20. Okay,
Yeah.
you need
15
20.
at least.
Like, take it
15
from
at
a guy
least.
who has worked the indies for the last 15 years and watched every possible piece of furniture be involved in every possible type of match. And I've seen people be hurt by furniture they didn't even realize was in a certain spot when they got thrown into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, these matches need like 20, 25, 30 minutes to really breathe, really play out, really sell the amount of damage that's being done. I understand you have a TV show and a format and things that have to go in there, but if you can't give a match like this 20 minutes, Change it. Change it.
I
Make
wonder
it
if
just a
that'll.
regular match.
I
Something.
wonder if that'll change now that they're on Netflix and they're now no longer beholden to a time slot like
I
they
hope
are on
so.
cable.
I hope
Like
so. But
I
that could
don't
make watching live
I don't
tedious,
know.
not
I
knowing
know.
exactly when it
Like
will end,
I'm curious to see what they do with it though.
Yeah, I'm really curious. A lot of questions will be answered in like what, like, dude, on the day of our first season two broadcast, we will have answers on how this is all going to work, and I'm
At least
super excited.
preliminary ones. I mean,
Yeah,
there are probably going to be growing pains with this situation, just like there are with anything that's completely untested. Like
right,
this is brand new, uncharted territory for wrestling.
right.
Absolutely, I can't call it. Like you can't even as big as the simulcast stuff is with AEW as part of their deal. The fact that they're being simulcast and they're still on TBS and TNT means that they may be given an overrun by the station, but they're still going to be beholden to the station. It's
Mhm.
not going to be a free for all. So
Yeah,
this is a situation with WWE and Netflix. Nobody's done this before.
no,
So I think you're going to see probably the first several months, they're probably going to toy with a bunch of different stuff, and then they'll finally settle into something that they're comfortable with. Now,
yeah,
what that winds up being, the hell knows. I don't,
yeah.
but
We'll
we'll
see.
find out.
Yeah, but Raw this week was really good. Like other than that, like the live and the PFC thing, like that I didn't like. Raw was good, so big up on that one. And that's gonna lead us into our shine.
Shine,
All
baby.
right.